certain members of this House acted in the best interest of hostile foreign regimes interfering in Canada's democracy. This is a disgusting betrayal of Canadians who elected us to represent them in this place. We as MPs are supposed to serve Canadians, not foreign hostile actors. Why is this Liberal NDP government fighting to protect MPs' names, collaborating in the best interest of hostile foreign regimes and not Canadians?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I'll repeat what I said a moment ago in French. We agree with members of this House that the appropriate forum to look at these matters is the Commission, already set up and operating. Set up, I would remind colleagues, with the unanimous support of all parties in this House. The Hague Commission has access to all of the documents of the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians looked at. Officials from the Privy Council office have already been in touch with the Hague Commission to determine the best way forward. We think that's a responsible way to proceed, not simply standing up and illegally announcing a list of names like my colleague suggests.
The Honourable Member from Calgary Forest Lawn.
Boo-hoo, get over it, was the most disgusting response from this cover-up coalition.
It was pretty gross.
This government turned a blind eye to foreign interference to protect their own partisan interests. They refused to hand over documents to that commission, and now they won't release the names of the MPs in this House doing dirty work for foreign hostile regimes. Canadians need to know who these MPs are. Is this Liberal NDP government really going to let sitting members of this House working against the interest of Canadians run in the next election?
Before the Honourable Minister responds, I'm just going to encourage all members, please, not to express their voices unless they are recognized by the chair. The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Again, Mr. Speaker, the government will be supporting the motion before the House today brought by the Bloc Québécois, asking the Hague Commission to examine this very matter. We think that's the appropriate way to do it. The Conservatives are pretending that you can stand up and release a list of names. Mr. Speaker, I asked the Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP, Mark Flynn, this morning, what would happen if I stood up and announced a list of names like my colleagues are asking me to do, and he said I would be subject to criminal prosecution. So guess what, Mr. Speaker? I'm not going to do that.
You're subject to criminal prosecution anyways. You're interfering with Canadians' rights.
Order.
You can't allow people to be on ballots that are influenced by foreign governments.
And they've done nothing. And speaking of cover-ups, Mr. Speaker, there's another one. Last week, the Parliamentary Budget Officer revealed that this government is hiding a secret carbon tax report that proves a majority of Canadians pay more into this scam than what they get back in these phony rebates. But this Liberal NDP government did what it does best. They put a gag order on the PBO, keeping the truth from Canadians. When will this Liberal NDP cover-up coalition lift the gag order and release the report to confirm what Canadians already know, that this Prime Minister and his carbon tax scam are not worth the cost?
Once again, I'm going to remind members to please not take the floor unless they are recognized as speaker to do so, so that we can hear the questions and we can hear the answers. The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We respect the work of the PBO, who provides independent analysis on the government. Conservatives, unfortunately, are misleading Canadians yet again. Our government has and will continue to support the Parliamentary Budget Officer to fulfill his role and his office. The report correctly confirmed that 8 out of 10 Canadians get more money back in rebate than they pay in fuel charge. The Parliamentary Budget Officer has said that carbon pricing is the least disruptive measure to use to fight climate change. Instead of misleading Canadians, Mr. Speaker, Conservative should take math classes over the summer and come up with a real plan for the economy and climate change.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Today we're debating a Bloc Québécois motion to expand the Hague Commission's mandate to investigate foreign-influenced members. Why did we table this motion? Because the Liberals are consistently unable to show leadership on the issue of interference. They're always lagging behind, and frankly, they should be embarrassed that the Bloc Québécois has had to take this initiative again today. They are the government. Why do they always have to be up against the wall before they move on foreign interference? The Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, I thank my friend from La Prairie for the question. Good news, the work I've done together with him and other parliamentary leaders last summer led to the HUG Commission, and we believe, furthermore, that the terms of reference that we negotiated with our friend from La Prairie allows them to do the work that is in the block motion. We will support the motion at the vote tomorrow, and we will work with the HUG Commission to find the best way to move forward. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Last week, in question period, when I asked what this government was going to do to ensure that no one in the House was working for foreign powers, the Deputy Prime Minister responded by talking about interest rates. The Bloc is concerned because of this threat to democracy, and she gave us murky spin. It speaks volumes about the Liberals' lack of seriousness. It's not a big deal, according to them. Well, yes, it is a very big deal. Will the government cooperate fully with the UG Commission once its mandate has been expanded? Our democracy depends on it. The Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Absolutely, Mr. Speaker. The answer is yes. And as I've said, it's a discussion that senior officials from the Privy Council have undertaken over the weekend with the HUG Commission. We will always be there to ensure that the HUG Commission has everything it needs to shed light on these circumstances.
The Honourable Member from Burnaby South.
The Prime Minister has confirmation that MPs knowingly worked with foreign governments to undermine Canada. He's known for 11 months and done nothing. All the while, Canadians have been harassed. Canadians have been threatened. A Canadian citizen was killed, all linked to foreign governments. Why has this Prime Minister failed to protect Canadians?
Why don't you do something about
For
it?
public safety.
Mr. Speaker, I thank our colleague, the Leader of the NDP, for the question. Obviously, the most important responsibility of any government is to protect its citizens. Far from not taking this matter seriously, our government has been the only government in the history of Canada to set up a series of measures to detect, disrupt and prevent foreign interference. We're very pleased that members of this House are working collaboratively to support government legislation before the House right now to give additional tools, create additional criminal offences, to hold those to account who might seek to interfere in our democratic institutions, and we'll continue to always do this important work.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Known for 11 weeks and done nothing. Depuis 11 semaines.
For 11 weeks, the Prime Minister has known the names of members potentially working with foreign governments, such as India and China. For 11 weeks, he has known about MPs potentially assisting a government that may be responsible for the killing of a Canadian citizen. Why hasn't the Prime Minister done anything in those 11 weeks? The Honourable Member, Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, on the contrary, our government is always working to protect democratic institutions, strengthen the measures that are necessary to ensure the integrity of our electoral process. Law enforcement, CSIS, are always working and take their responsibilities seriously. I have full confidence in the national security agencies, and I have full confidence in the HUG Commission to examine precisely the scenario my colleague brought up.
The Honourable Member from Peterborough, Kawartha.
After 9 years of this Liberal NDP government, here's the facts. 1 in 5 Canadians knows someone accessing a food bank. 25% of Canadians are going hungry, and 44% feel financially worse off than just 1 year ago. Canadians aren't doing well, despite this Prime Minister gaslighting them. And it gets worse. Now, there's a PBO report that reveals the true cost of the carbon tax. So, why aren't they allowing the PBO to release it? He's been gagged, and now we want to know why.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the only people in this city who seem to be gagged are Conservative MPs. They're not allowed to express their true views when it comes to ending a woman's right to choose. And none of them are allowed to express a view on tax fairness. But
she's so fucking dumb.
They're going to have to stop deflecting and evading and take a stand. We'll see if they support fairness for every generation.
The honourable member from Peterborough, Kawartha.
Well, thank you for that perfect example of deflecting. Again, this is not hearsay. This is a letter sent by the minister's office to the PBO, okay? He is saying to the PBO, this is the real cost of the carbon tax. Conservatives have been saying for months to axe the tax because we know it drives up the cost of literally everything. It is causing misery. The Liberals say that's not true. So if it's not true, why the gag order? Why are they not allowing the PBO to release this carbon tax cover-up that shows the true cost of what it's costing Canadians?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we believe in investing in affordability for Canadians with programs like a national school food program, dental care, a national system of early learning and childcare, and we're going to pay for it in a responsible way with tax fairness. So I would like to invite that member to lift her own personal gag order and come clean with Canadians on whether she supports tax fairness or whether she supports tax breaks for the wealthiest among us.
Fair question. The honourable member from Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Canadians are not being fooled by this Prime Minister or that Deputy Prime Minister. They know the carbon tax is making their lives more unaffordable. Last week, the Parliamentary Budget Officer confirmed that a secret government report shows that the carbon tax costs Canadians more than they get back. The Prime Minister has forced the PBO to sign a gag order so that he can't share that report. Canadians deserve the truth. When will this government come clean with Canadians and release the report?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the people who are not going to be able to fool Canadians for very much longer are these Conservatives. For days and days, for weeks and weeks, they have been dithering and deflecting and evading when it comes to our proposed measures on capital gains. Tomorrow, they're going to have to take a stand. So I invite the member opposite to lead the way by lifting her own personal gag order and saying what she believes.
Bravo. I'm going to ask members again, who've been really pretty good today, is to please just not take the floor until they are recognized by the chair. I'm certain we all want to hear the question from the honourable member. The honourable member from Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Mr. Speaker, Canadians know that after 9 years, this Prime Minister is just not worth the cost or the corruption. He is desperate to cover up his own secret report, which shows that Canadians are worse off under his carbon tax regime. He knows it, we know it, and Canadians know it. When will this Prime Minister lift his gag order on the Parliamentary Budget Officer and release his report?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, on Friday, surprise of surprises, that very member from Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek, informed, I'm sure for the first time, her own caucus colleagues, but indeed the entire House of Commons, that she picks and chooses which parts of the Conservative platform she runs on. This whole party, we know, ran on a price on pollution in the last election, but this member stood up and told us that she really didn't. So maybe she could tell us right now which parts of the Conservative platform she doesn't approve of today.